As a transmigrator, the one thing I can't stand is awkward romantic tension. On my first night in the palace, I stared at the Emperor's beautiful backside and shouted from the bottom of my heart, "Wow, our Emperor is truly a man of Hebei." That bounding-style roundness is something else. The Emperor probably hasn't heard such hardcore praise in his entire life. With trembling hands, he sent me back to my quarters. Even though I was thrown into the cold palace to eat sweet potato greens, I wasn't panicked at all, because I discovered material even more exciting than the Emperor. That regent, who holds all the power in the court, looks at the Emperor with a gaze that is clearly suspicious. To protect this divine romance, I picked up my pen and started praising. Began my great artistic creation. When I first transmigrated here, I thought I had a palace intrigue script. I was wrapped up like a dumpling by the eunuchs and tossed onto the dragon bed. I was planning to enjoy a night of passion. But when I saw the current Emperor's round and plump backside, my nanny instincts kicked in again. Wow, our Emperor is truly a man of Hebei. That bounding-style roundness is something else. The Emperor looked suspicious, probably scared out of his wits by my outburst. He lost all interest and sent me packing. Hurry. The second night, the Emperor summoned me again. This time, not in the Weiyang Palace, but in a side chamber near the Golden Throne Hall. I lay on the bed, peering through the gauze curtains, vaguely seeing silhouettes. The young Emperor sat upright, discussing matters with his close officials. The one in the black robe, standing closest to the Emperor, must be the legendary regent. One with broad shoulders and a narrow waist, looking dashing and heroic, the other elegant and refined with delicate features. As they talked, they got closer, almost touching. But the Emperor restrained himself, reaching out to gently straighten the regent's crown. This is normal. This tension. Mom, Dad. I've been reborn. The young Emperor looked back, frowning slightly, and gently wiped the 2 streaks of blood from under my nose. Then he signaled for someone to carry me back. The third night? There was no third night. I was sent to the cold palace. The daughter of Grand Marshal Jiang is beautiful, but a bit dim-witted. Send her to the cold palace to retire. Less than 3 days after transmigrating, I had become a discarded concubine just like that. I carried my little bundle, facing the bare walls of the cold palace, feeling the fickleness of fate. Starting with nothing but a bed. Let's see how I climbed to the position of Empress. Just kidding, I can't even climb out of bed. It's impossible. I hugged my arms and rolled back onto the bed, feeling increasingly depressed. Then inspiration struck. My soul resonated deeply with the ancient sages. King Wen was imprisoned and wrote the I Ching. Confucius was in distress and wrote the Spring and Autumn Annals. Chu Yuan was exiled and wrote the Li Sa. Zhuo Qiuming went blind and wrote the Discourses of the States. Sun Bin had his kneecaps removed. Bu Wei was exiled to Shu. Han Fei was imprisoned in Qin. Suffering is truly the cradle of literature. In my mind, the Emperor's slender waist appeared again, along with the obsession in the regent's eyes. And that night, their hair intertwined by their cheeks. A warm current surged through my lower abdomen, so I immediately tore off the white silk from the previous occupant and began my artistic creation with abandon. Flowing like clouds in water. Finished in one go. Words gushing like a fountain. When Ma Yu returned, holding a bowl of wilted sweet potato greens, she saw me lying on the floor looking like a mess, with 3 feet of white silk floating nearby. She started wailing. She picked up the white silk, and the more she looked, the more wrong it felt. What are these dense patterns on it? The Forbidden City's 25th year early autumn limited edition print scarf? After looking closely, her expression shifted from confusion to shock, followed by a satisfied sigh. Ah, it's a miracle. For such a masterpiece to be buried in the cold palace is a tragedy for the world. She solemnly put away the manuscript and shook me awake. My lady, don't give up yet. Your good fortune is yet to come. When the manager of the #1 bookstore came to urge me for the manuscript, the imperial decree cutting the palace budget by half had just reached the cold palace. The little maid Mayu wiped her greasy mouth with her sleeve. Cutting the budget even for us? Cutting the cold palace budget? What is your husband doing? As fellow transmigrators, he's always been unreliable in front of me. I slowly ground the ink, calm and composed. We must not discuss the emperor recklessly. Mayu was shocked. What you? Who exactly is the one discussing the emperor here? That novel of yours. You dare to write it, but I don't even dare to read it. Fortune favors the bold. Do you still want to live this luxurious life? Ido. I'll go build a relationship with little Lee from the Imperial Kitchen right now. To get you some more material. I nodded with satisfaction, dipped my brush in ink, and finally wrote the title for the new chapter, The Traitorous Subject. Chapter 1. The regent cleverly sets a trap of longing. The pretty emperor drunkenly falls into the Mandarin duck tent. Oh no, my lady. I heard Consort Xiao reported us for practicing witchcraft. After transmigrating into a discarded concubine, I gave up on everything and started writing stories in the cold palace. Later, Consort Xiao framed me for hiding witchcraft items, and the Empress personally came to the cold palace to search. But she only found boxes of my Tong person manuscripts. Let me see what books you've been hiding. The new emperor throughout his life could never forget General Shun's melancholy eyes. The Empress was startled, clutching her chest and quickly hiding my manuscript in her robes, a suspicious blush spreading across her face. Oh right, General Shun is his brother. Consort Xiao heard the Empress returned empty-handed. So angry she could die. In the middle of the night, she snuck into my study, acting like a thief, and stole all my remaining manuscripts. The next day, both of them had dark circles under their eyes, muttering to themselves. The sea of hatred reaches the sky. The sea of hatred reaches the sky. The sea of hatred reaches the sky. Truly a masterpiece. The note. Moyu secretly contacted the manager of the #1 bookstore and smuggled the manuscripts out of the cold palace. The manager, with years of experience, smelled a brilliant business opportunity. This writing is seasoned. The vocabulary is bold. The plot is gripping, appealing to both refined and common tastes. It's clear the author understands the human heart. No more words, publish it. The fanfiction I wrote in the cold palace about the emperor and the regent became a massive hit. It made rival concubines shake hands and make peace, and made all the noble women in the city flock to schools to learn how to read it. Finally, they closed their books and launched the first women's strike in history. Since ancient times, royal secrets have been a hot topic in the streets. Once the traitorous subject was released, it immediately swept through the city, from high-ranking officials and noblewomen down to commoners, scholars and doctors. Everyone knew of this book. For a time, paper prices in the capital soared. News of reprints and piles of silver poured in. Golden hairpins pierce silk. Flower stamens struggle against the pestle. Mysterious methods knock on the palace door. The monk bumps into the emperor's peak. Pearl curtains lock the golden dragon. The regent's evil intent rises from his heart. Trapped alone in enemy camp, the chapters followed one after another. The eldest wife of Squire Zhu in the west of the city had attended school for a few days and had some basic literacy skills. When she got this book, she was exceptionally surprised. She immediately called her other 8 concubines to drink tea and enjoy the literature together. These 8 concubines, who usually fought and bickered, now sat together, setting aside their past grievances, calling each other sisters, in perfect harmony. It was truly a scene of joy and extreme harmony. Although Squire Zhu was unhappy that his beauties were neglecting him to read, the peace in his backyard was a beautiful thing. Feeling sentimental, he asked his maid about the reason, and after learning it was all thanks to this book, he immediately recommended it to his friends who had similar troubles. The sales of the traitorous subject hit new highs, becoming a major tool for family harmony. There was just one thing. While noblewomen were skilled in needlework, most had never attended school. Facing this famous book, even if they wanted to read it, they didn't know where to start. Although they could hire a storyteller, the book was full of elegant plots that scholars loved, requiring one to dismiss the servants and hide under the bed curtains to appreciate it in secret, to truly understand its beauty. So the noblewomen flocked to schools to start learning culture. Once they read more, they were no longer satisfied with the status quo. The noblewomen's group, led by Squire Zhu's eldest wife, fired the first shot in resisting the patriarchal privileges of their husbands. The phoenix rises, the wind blows, the change begins. For a time, the women's liberation movement in Yeqing was all the rage. I wrote about my colleagues in the Imperial Society encouraging noblewomen to go on strike and wives and concubines to live in harmony. The last scholar used his research on official history to write an academic masterpiece, My Cold Palace. Creation is reshaping history in strange ways. I was unaware of the changes in the world outside the palace, thinking these manuscripts were just written to pass the time. Mere bathroom reading for the common folk. Self-contained and niche. Gosing no waps. The concubines in the cold palace all had their own ways of killing time. Some sawed wood, some counted bricks, and others formed duishi, same-sex companion, relationships with palace mates. But writing was my only joy during the long, lonely nights in the cold palace. I burned the midnight oil every day. With Moyu, my devilish editor, constantly hounding me for drafts, I grew thinner than a yellow flower from all the writing, while Moyu on the other hand took my royalties and ate until she was plump and round, looking more prosperous by the day. As it turned out, Moyu fell ill from overeating. This time, the highly anticipated regent's cunning love trap and the pretty emperor's drunken entrapment had to be delivered to the bookstore contact by me. Everything was going smoothly at first, but I accidentally got lost on my way back. I wandered around and ended up at Consort Zhao's Chuxiu Palace. I ran straight into one of Consort Zhao's personal maids, having a secret rendezvous with a young eunuch from the imperial court. I quickly hid behind some flowers. The young eunuch affectionately took the maid's hand, grinning brightly. What a pair! My gossiping heart immediately caught fire. The young eunuch suddenly started gesturing wildly in a high-pitched voice. Sister. Sorry, I misunderstood. I felt bored and was about to leave when I heard him say, Have you read the latest chapter of The Traitorous Minister? Why am I involved in this? It's so thrilling. The regent's character design is just so compelling. Yeah. My illicit thoughts about His Majesty. That is the greatest treason of all. Especially that line. It was Your Majesty who led me down a path where a subject is no longer a subject, and a foster father is no longer a foster father. It was you who guided me. The struggle and the pain in that. It's just so good to savor. It's a pity that this shitty Sanren author knows how to keep us hooked, not updating for weeks at a time. I really want to mail all the kitchen knives from the Imperial kitchen to this guy. Hey sister, don't be impatient. I'll show you a treasure. The young eunuch said, pulling a booklet from his robes. My eyesight is good, and I saw 2 figures on the cover at a glance, making me blush instantly. This book, The Emperor's Fragrance, perfectly recreated the plot of The Traitorous Minister. The artist, Chu Shuianan, has such a masterful brush. Even better than the palace painters. And more importantly, the key content wasn't censored at all. It's truly addictive. The Emperor's fragrance. Oh my, it's even been adapted into a comic. My novel is so popular, ha 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 ha. I was satisfied and left happily. By the time I returned to the cold palace, it was already dusk. Thinking about what I heard today, my inspiration began to flow uncontrollably. Just as I was about to start writing, Mayu came running in stumbling, seeing me grinning from ear to ear. She said, "They've come for you." There was a commotion outside. The Empress has arrived. I panicked, my hair standing on end. The brush in my hand flew out, landing right at the Empress's feet. The ink spread, staining her silk dress. Mayu and I exchanged a look, both of us as panicked as if we'd been caught by a husband returning home unexpectedly. Jiang Yuan Zhao, you left the palace without permission. What were you doing at Consort Zhao's Chuxiu palace? Mayu looked at me in shock, her expression looking terrible. I silently lowered my head. I've been caught. The Empress took a step forward, her hairpins jingling with the movement. The pearls and jade in her hair made her ink-black hair look even darker. Her phoenix eyes swept over me, full of charm. So beautiful. I want to touch her. She seemed to be unnerved by my gaze, her throat tightening. Jiang Yuan Zhao, you are practicing witchcraft in the palace. What is your crime? I froze in place, pointing at myself. Seeing my silence, the Empress laughed in anger. Don't say a word, search her. Mayu and I both knelt down at the same time. You can't search. You're feeling guilty, aren't you? Consort Zhao was right. You're definitely up to no good. Yeah, finally some fun. No. Finally, we can clean up the palace rules. It's over. If she sees that I wrote the Empress as a Tongqi, wife of a gay man, she'll definitely chop me into mincemeat. Mayu wasn't resigned. My lady, I'm innocent. It must be Consort Zhao framing us. Hey. What are you acting for? If you're going to gossip, do it properly. Don't you want to know why you're going to die? Oh, thank you. This was found by a palace maid, who saw it fall out of your pocket. This gibberish. And you say it's not witchcraft? Honorable judge, I'm innocent. Where would I practice feudal superstition? Mayu picked up the paper, stared at it for a long time, and then threw it in my face. Abandon? Why are you practicing English vocabulary here? Report everything is here. Please take a look, Your Majesty. This point, I decided to just lie on the ground and play dead. But Mayu was faster and died first. Damn it, I can't use that trick now. I have to tough it out. Oh my, what's in this box? Good Jiang Yuan Zhao. You dare to hide forbidden books. It's just good stuff. I was keeping it for myself. I didn't know I should have presented it to you first, my lady. Wait, isn't this the one you were hiding under your covers reading last night? Wow, it's true. It's even unpublished content. I looked up again and found the Empress staring straight at me. Where did you get this? If I said I wrote it, would you believe me? You all leave. I want to interrogate him personally. The cold palace returned to its usual coldness. Before I could react, the Empress closed the book, stepped forward and pulled me up. The biting winter wind carried the scent of her perfume, making my face feel hot. Shudi Sanran. Are you really Shudi Sanran? I'm the artist for the Emperor's Fragrance. Chen. What's it like to be urged for drafts by the Empress? She gives me empty promises saying the good fortune is yet to come, setting me KPIs, demanding weekly submissions. I chose to lie flat right there, turning into a puddle of non-Newtonian fluid. No matter how much she urges, I won't update. I'm just playing around. 3 hoarse cries came from the sky. I twitched my mouth. How did you recognize me? This shouldn't be possible. Just based on a few unpublished novels. You're so certain? Could it be that you've been investigating me for a long time? How could I be so careless? The Empress sat on my stone bed, resting her chin on her hands, blinking her eyes. I wasn't sure just now, but now I know. She was bluffing me. Tell me, do you want to be beheaded or decapitated? I'll accept either. I want you. To sell your art, not your body. I want you to finish writing immediately. Dragging it out, dragging it out. The people waiting for updates stretch from the south to the north of the city. And you still have the heart to wander around the palace? An author like you who delays updates should be dragged to the market and beheaded. Ah. And you're just despicable. Every time you get to a critical point, you stop writing and just add a line to know what happens next. Please subscribe to Bookstore number 1. Watch the full content for as low as 0.3 taels per day. Ha ha ha. Are you even human? You're infuriating. Now, as Empress, I command you. Hand over the next chapter immediately, or I'll deal with you according to palace rules. Ah. I respectfully presented the manuscript. The Empress was satisfied, smiling with her eyes curved. She finally strode away. Oh, right. Beheading and decapitation mean the same thing. The Empress suddenly stopped and looked back. Jiang Yuan Zhao, your good fortune is yet to come. A while later, Mou finally poked her head through the door crack. Let's go. I was so exhausted I collapsed by the bedside. I nodded. Mou tiptoed over to my side. She pulled a bag of meat buns from her chest. She'd asked Little Li to bring them from Xianghua Temple. She'd kept them tucked against her chest to keep them warm. They were so hot they burned her. Eat them while they're hot. I took the meat buns and stuffed them into my mouth. Mou gently patted my back. He didn't give you a hard time, did he? No. He just said some strange things. He said, Jiang Yuan Zhao, your good fortune is yet to come. Exactly what you said to me earlier. How strange. What exactly is this fortune of yours? That evening, a young eunuch from the Empress's side brought a message. Her Majesty says, you must update 1 chapter a week. The content must be reviewed by Her Majesty before it can be sent to the publisher. If you want to read it early, just say so. Can your novel even pass censorship? That's what the review is for. No way, I'm a freelancer. How is meeting deadlines any different from a regular job? Her Majesty is a great judge of talent. Your writing is brilliant, and she values you highly. Your good fortune is still to come. Here we go again. I slumped off the chair. Like a puddle of non-Newtonian fluid, MOU respectfully saw the eunuch out. Don't go to sleep. Huh. Are you going to update or not? I haven't seen this so-called good fortune yet. But the joy of procrastinating always arrives right on time. That night it was dark and windy. I suddenly found myself staring into a pair of pitch-black eyes by the bed. The person instantly lunged at me, one hand covering my mouth tightly, the other pinning my wrists to the pillow. With irresistible force. In the struggle, the lampstand by the bed crashed to the floor. MOU rushed in a panic. And this is what she saw. Consort Zhao was pinning me to the bed, her hair tied up high. While I was wrapped in the quilt, my most prized wolf hair brush was currently being held in her mouth. MOU looked around guiltily, then whistled and closed the door. I was breaking out in a cold sweat. Have mercy, hero. Consort Zhao let go. The Empress hates witchcraft more than anything. How could she have spared you so easily? Tell me, what tricks did you use? She pulled an exquisite dagger from somewhere, the cold blade tapping gently against my cheek. Are you going to talk? I nodded, feeling hopeless. It's in the box. Take it yourself. With a swift movement, she looked at me, her eyes flashing with cunning and triumph. Whatever the Empress has, I must have too. Heh. With that, she grabbed the box and leaped onto the rafters, flying out through a hole in the thatched roof, disappearing into the vast night. What a smooth and refreshing home invasion. First the Empress, then the consort. The palace concubines are bullying me for being weak, openly stealing my manuscripts to take into the palace. The cold wind whistled in through the hole in the roof. I had no strength left, so I wrapped myself in the quilt and fell into a deep sleep. The next day, a eunuch from the Directorate of Ceremonial came to the cold palace for the first time ever. It was a grand spectacle, very lively. Under the curious gaze of all the abandoned concubines, the head eunuch stopped at my quarters. The night before last, I had been having nightmares. Last night, I dreamed the Empress and the consort were holding machetes, one of them waving a whip, chasing me all over the room. Every time Consort Zhao whipped me, a page of my manuscript would fly out of my mouth. It was terrifying. I was still groggy and half asleep when MOU made me kneel to receive the imperial decree. I only caught a few fragments. Something about upholding feminine virtues, considering her repentance, and leaving the cold palace this very day to restore her status and be appointed as an attendant before the emperor. I scratched my head, not understanding what it meant. I've been in the palace for 40 years. And this is the first time I've seen someone leave the cold palace alive. It's all thanks to the Empress's strong support. This is an unprecedented favor. Get ready to serve before the emperor. An attendant before the emperor? So, your good fortune is yet to come meant. Arranging for me to follow the emperor around, working 9 to 5, in a job where I could be executed for the slightest mistake? Oh heavens, I finally got into the cold palace. This is like being rehired after retirement. What good fortune indeed. At least it's a civil service job, working directly for the central government. It was also a stroke of luck. Now that I have this fortune, would you want it? I started a life of arriving early and leaving late. clocking in and out every day, occasionally working the night shift, but at least I didn't have to keep him company, so I was happy enough. The benefit of serving before the emperor was I gained access to more first-hand information. For instance, the regent has a tiny red mole on his eyelid, which he always hides away whenever he looks at the emperor. General Shun writes a letter home to the emperor every time he pacifies a region. The letters are elegantly decorated with the local flower. He has traveled from the south of the Yangtze to the northern frontiers and the western region, so the glass vase in the Weiyang Palace is filled with magnolias from the Qinhuai River and snow lotuses from the Tianshan Mountains. I worked during the day and stayed up late at night writing all these inspirations down. Manuscript after manuscript was sent to the publisher, and bags of silver went into my pockets, working 2 jobs a day. I was exhausted beyond recognition, mentally drained all day long. And to make matters worse, the emperor is a difficult living ancestor to serve. He only drinks tea at exactly 70% heat. He prefers the scent of fruit over incense, and even the frequency of the palace maid's fanning is strictly regulated. I lived in constant fear every day, walking on eggshells. But I still made a mistake by accident. The emperor frowned slightly and clicked his tongue. Jiang Yuan Zhao has shown disrespect before the emperor. Demote her to the cold palace. I packed my little bag again and returned to the familiar cold palace. Sisters, I'm back. Finally, I don't have to serve that difficult man anymore. This time being demoted, my state of mind was quite different. There was no pain in being demoted. I was actually quite happy. I happily chatted with the sisters in the cold palace. But less than an incense stick's time later, the head eunuch from the Empress's side came running to me. When he saw me, he immediately said in a serious, drawn-out tone, "The Empress's imperial decree." I was dragged back to the emperor's side. Inside the Lantai study, the empress was grinding ink for me, while saying triumphantly, "Thanks to my little scheme. Otherwise, you'd still be stuck in that godforsaken cold palace." I don't know what the empress said to the emperor, but she managed to lower the punishment again and again, from being exiled to the cold palace to just copying Buddhist scriptures. I was ashamed. Yes. Thank you for your grace, your majesty, but I don't know why. You're here while I'm copying scriptures. Of course, I'm here to help you copy them. The empress is a good person. So kind-hearted. This kind of mutual copying friendship I only ever had with my elementary school deskmate. I never expected you to do this much for me. Before I could finish, she pulled out a stack of rice paper as thick as a brick from under the table. "Lanzhao, you have more important things to do." I was moved for nothing. So she was just thinking about those manuscripts. If you don't release the next chapter, I can't draw the illustrations. I have a career to think about too, you know? If it weren't for the unrest at the borders, with my brother fighting everywhere, and the palace cutting military spending, I wouldn't have to draw these to make ends meet. Think of me, Shun Chonglin, a student of the great master Chan Yan, who could paint the 10,000 Nations pilgrimage scroll at age 8, and was praised by the late emperor, only to end up having to draw erotic art for a living. Sigh. So, the difficulty of finding a job for art students is an ancient and persistent disease. Backed by the emperor's side, I finally had a few days of peace. But one afternoon, the emperor was painting in the study. "Jiang Yuan Zhao, come and see what you think of this painting." I had just snuck in a yawn, suddenly called by my name. I almost bit my tongue. I walked over feeling rather sheepish, and then praised him with great enthusiasm. "These leeks grow one crop after another. They've grown so tall." I said, "Your Majesty, what I painted was an orchid." Once again, I was demoted back to my happy home in the cold palace, and this time just as the imperial decree was issued. The Empress's head eunuch ran to the cold palace, waiting to read the imperial edict. Then it was the emperor finding fault and demoting me, and the Empress bailing me out. Back and forth we went. Both sides had become familiar with the routine. As soon as Chief Li finished reading the imperial decree, the Empress's head eunuch would immediately pull out a scroll. The two of them were like rivals in a ring. working in perfect sync, and never tiring of it. I even skipped the step of actually going to the cold palace. But the Emperor found me as sticky as a piece of gum. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't shake me off. Instead, it sparked his competitive spirit, and he began to make things even more difficult for me. Of course, I'm no pushover either. Every time he gives me a hard time, I add a new character to the list of rebels and traitors. By now, I've written about everyone. From royal relatives to leaders of neighboring small nations, the streets are full of complaints, saying the character relationships in this novel have suddenly become so complex and so profound. Serious readers have even mapped out the character relationships, taking advantage of this trend, selling like hotcakes, almost to the point of being a bundle deal. This time, the Emperor's attempt to find fault happened to be on the 15th of the month, when the Emperor and Empress dined together. So the Empress happened to be there too, before Chief Li could even finish his sentence. The head eunuch came trotting over with the imperial edict as usual. "Stop. You have been provoking me constantly." The Empress spread her hands innocently. "I have not, Your Majesty." "I don't care, I must punish Jiang Yuan Zhao." This time, the Empress is not allowed to intervene. The Empress shot me a helpless look. I knelt on the spot, feeling as helpless as a quail. "Haha, I'd like to see who can protect you this time." Suddenly, a few roof tiles came crashing down from above. They grazed my nose and shattered on the ground with a whoosh. The Emperor was startled and took several steps back. Consort Xiao descended from the sky and bowed in a very awkward, formal manner. "Your humble servant, Consort Xiu, greets the Emperor." Hey. My dear consort, you still don't like taking the normal path, do you? What brings you here? To protect him. And what if I refuse? Then you might as well depose me along with him. The air fell into a deathly silence. After a long while, the Emperor threw his prayer beads down heavily, sighing as if in resignation. Then he looked down at me from his high position. "I never knew I recruited for my harem just for your sake." I didn't dare to look up. I only heard the Emperor's footsteps gradually fading away. "You were scared, weren't you?" Sister Consort Shu is a free spirit from the martial arts world, so she is a bit unconventional. She used to be a wanderer. Walking on walls and flying over roofs is her specialty. Thank you. I organized a play based on your novel. Oh my God. My novel has been adapted into a show. I have to say, Consort Xiao is a screenwriter wasted by her career as a pickpocket. The adaptation of The Rebels and Traitors was truly brilliant. It could be called a perfect blend of stream of consciousness and fauvism. Even I, the author, have to applaud it. It's just a pity that the play spread too quickly. To avoid causing too much of a stir, the three of us agreed that today's events were just for entertainment and should not be mentioned again. Consort Xiao dismissed the band and gave each of them hush money. This masterpiece was thus buried. Old Blind Chun from the band is a theater fanatic, half-witted and eccentric. After leaving the palace, he clutched his hush money, planning to buy a roast chicken from Old Lu. Feeling happy, he started humming the tune. The blind man had no sense of propriety and just happened to bump into the regent's sedan chair. The regent is a carefree romantic fellow who loves making friends above all else, riding horses and listening to music. A few days ago, he picked up a new book, said to be by the author of the popular pseudo-classics of official history. Although he isn't interested in literary pursuits, he had skimmed through it. As it happens, he has a photographic memory and is well-versed in music. He found the tune the old blind man was humming interesting. After thinking it over carefully, he realized the lyrics of the song highly overlapped with the content of the pseudo-classics. He invited the eccentric blind man into his mansion. "What is the name of the song you were just singing?" The noble consort only said the song shouldn't be spread outside. She didn't say I couldn't tell you the name. You have good taste. This song is called Wolfish Ambition. The Regent's Dragon Bed Uprising. Is it that crude? Wait, no. Why am I involved in this? Where did this song come from? Hey. Hey. That's a different price. A few days later, the regent, who usually loves to submit petitions, claimed to be ill and took leave for half a month straight. The court officials were amazed, so colleagues went to visit him. But for some reason, the visitors also became officials claiming to be ill. The number of people attending court plummeted. The few who still showed up were all walking with a limp and looking shifty, avoiding the emperor whenever they saw him. The emperor was worried about the border wars and also concerned about the health of the pillars of the nation. Finally, he ran to the harem. This epidemic is raging. You all in the harem should be careful too. Your Majesty is right. I will certainly be careful. The Empress looked at me and responded with an awkward smile. After the emperor left, she suddenly pulled me into a corner. The Empress is from a military family, so she is naturally dignified. I had never seen her in such a rush. She glanced left and right. My brother hasn't dared to attend court for half a month. Why is General Shen like this? He's not worried about his butt. He's worried about his head. As she spoke, she crouched down, pulled open the bottom drawer of the cabinet, and started stuffing gold nuggets and jewelry and gold bars into my pockets. Forget it, I don't think you can hide this for much longer. Hurry up and pack your things, get ready to run. Ha ha ha. So she told Mayu to get a few more large sacks. We were both packing so frantically we lost track of time. When we turned around, Consort Xiao appeared out of nowhere. She stuffed herself into a sack. Take me with you. She curled up in the corner, looking as excited as a schoolchild on a field trip. The Empress was startled and looked up reflexively. Sure enough, there was another big hole in the ceiling. The broken tiles swayed and then shattered on the ground as if accepting their fate. My glazed tiles were only repaired yesterday. Consort Xiao ignored the Empress and said to me sternly, "If you're going to escape, take me with you." Hurry up and take this idiot with you too. Before we even left the capital, Consort Xiao and I were both caught and dragged back. The candlelight was dim, reflecting the emperor's half-lit, half-shadowed face. "Xiao Yuan, I brought you back to the palace from that den of thieves. I didn't care about your background. I made you a consort. I showered you with favor and tolerated everything you did. The roofs of the 36 palaces in the Forbidden City, I've had to repair them 208 times in the last 6 months. I haven't treated you badly. Why do you always think about leaving me?" Consort Xiao stared at the flickering candle on the lamp. Her long eyelashes cast a shadow, masking her emotions. "I just wanted to go back to the den to see my old friends." Do you know that concubines are not allowed to leave the palace without permission? I know. Possessing forbidden books is also a capital offense. I know you. A flash of anger crossed the emperor's eyes. The servants on both sides knelt down in unison. The hall was deathly silent. I was already kneeling, so I could only lower my body further. After a long time, a weary sigh came from beside my ear. The emperor slowly sat back on the throne and delivered the final verdict. Consort Xiao possessed forbidden books, showed contempt for the emperor, left the palace without permission, and deceived the emperor. I held my breath, waiting anxiously for my companion's sentence. Her salary will be docked for 1 month. Thank goodness, thank goodness. He only docked her for 1 month. I'll probably be docked for half a year. Well, at least I'm rich and powerful. Then I heard the emperor's cold voice. Jiang Yuan Zhao. Beheading tomorrow. Wait, why is the treatment so different? 2 rats scurried past my feet with a squeak. The prison was damp and cold, and I huddled in the corner shivering, watching the daylight fade away bit by bit. The light in my heart seemed to dim along with it. Only 6 hours left until dawn. Even though death is imminent, I still feel like this isn't real. Am I really going to die? My novel Rebellious Subjects isn't finished yet. I haven't finished the portrait either. I haven't even learned the 18 ways to pick a lock. I don't want to die. As I thought about it, I suddenly felt a sense of despair. My fingers touched something cold and wet. Once the tears started, I couldn't stop them. I curled up in the corner, twisting my sleeves and sobbing uncontrollably. I didn't stop until my voice was completely hoarse. I looked down and grabbed something nearby. Rubbing my eyes, my vision gradually cleared. In my hand was a piece of bright yellow fabric. You were pretty bold when you were fantasizing about me, weren't you? I really thought you weren't afraid of anything. He opened the cell door himself and sat down right next to me. I instinctively shrank back against the wall. The Emperor curled his lip. What are you hiding from? I've known about those romance novels you wrote for a long time. My eyes widened in shock. You knew? Yuner isn't very bright. She didn't even know what she was reading. She left the book wide open on the nightstand. It was hard for me not to notice. The Emperor isn't angry? Ha ha ha. I am the ruler of this nation. How could I lack such a small amount of tolerance? Food and sex are human nature. It's perfectly normal for people to have desires. Besides, books that the common people enjoy should be allowed to circulate. Blindly interfering and banning them is like damming a river. Eventually it will burst. Then, if you don't mind, why did you arrest me? I was going to let you go home to retire. Who told you to kidnap my favorite concubine? If I don't arrest you, who would I arrest? I was so angry I almost laughed. The Emperor didn't answer me. He just stood up and looked out the window silently. His eyes were filled with melancholy and sorrow. The Chuanrong are invading. Their leader sent me a declaration of war. He even included a message for me at the end. Do you know what it said? I shook my head, feeling completely confused. The Emperor turned around abruptly. They want to capture me alive, to see for themselves if I'm as extraordinary as you wrote in your books. Jiang Yuan Zhao, I suppose this is your doing too. My God. This Chuanrong leader is a genius. A good writer indeed. One sentence is worth a whole meal. Ha ha ha. Jiang Yuan Zhao, why are you smirking? What? I immediately hid my wide grin. Suddenly, a cold light flashed before my eyes. The Emperor pulled a sharp dagger from his waist and flashed it in front of me. A lock of my hair drifted to the floor. The Emperor blew gently on the blade. The crisp sound of the blade echoed through the silent prison. The criminal Jiang Yuan Zhao is dead. I am appointing you as the personal maid to Princess Xiaoyang for the marriage alliance, and naming you Jiang Zhao. You are to go to the Chuanrong territory. This servant thanks you for your grace, your majesty. Since you like writing this nonsense, go write it in the Chuanrong territory. General Shen mentioned you in his letters. He said your novels are so popular there that everyone from the elderly to the children can recite them. They're a huge hit. That's perfect. I want you to use your writing to influence them, to cynicize the barbarians, subtly changing their hearts and undermining their resolve. You will work with General Shen from the inside to make them submit willingly. Do you understand? Wait, am I being sent abroad on a government mission? Look at how cowardly you are. The Empress and the consort took turns pleading for you. How could I really kill you? Work hard and make up for your mistakes. Your good fortune is still to come. In the 4th year of Tianlin, General Shan defeated the Chuanrong at the border, launching a surprise night attack, shattering the enemy's morale. The emperor heard the news of the victory and was overjoyed. He rewarded the meritorious and feasted the troops. Among the generals, a woman also received an imperial reward. In her left hand she held bamboo scrolls, in her right a spear. She wore no sword at her waist. The court and the streets were filled with gossip. Some said she was once the emperor's concubine. Some said she was Princess Xiaoyang's maid. And others said she was a spy sent by our court to the Chuanrong. However, the truth of these rumors can no longer be verified, remaining only as tavern talk. 10 years later, rebellious subjects finally reached its climax. The bookstore was bustling with customers, the crowd almost trampling the threshold to buy the book. The old shopkeeper stood alone at the counter, his hair graying, his green robe still reflecting the old lamps. Peddlers and laborers stopped their work to rush and buy it. The guards, while maintaining order, used their positions to buy copies for others. Wang the Lame was hitting people with his crutch while cutting in line. Chun the Blind was unhappy and kicked the lame one's good leg. The old scholar cried until his eyes were swollen and red. The madam and her 8 concubines wiped each other's tears. Everyone sighed. My youth has finally returned. In a small courtyard on the outskirts of the capital, it was the day of minor heat. The rain had cleared. A frog in the pond poked its head out and hopped lightly onto a lotus leaf covered in water droplets. The raindrops fell pitter-patter, creating ripples on the surface. I lay on a rocking chair, leisurely eating watermelon. Suddenly, a small stone landed by my feet, followed by a scolding.
Jiang Yuan Zhao, I'm painting.
Don't move, sit still. Empress, I'll sit still right now. But she didn't forget to tease me. Look at how properly Xiao Yun is sitting. Unlike you, with no posture at all. Then, I secretly hid the rest of the watermelon behind my back. When the painting was finished, Xiao Yun and I leaned in to look. In the painting, Xiao Yun wore simple hemp clothes. But his beauty remained undiminished. He had taken off all his jewelry, finally leaving the palace. Like a bird returning to the forest, clouds dispersing in the sky, returning to nature. Ha ha you. Suddenly, all that noisy laughter and scolding, along with the passing of time, drifted away with the wind.